to my plant people. I'm in the workshop / garden shed, but really workshop. And today we're playing in the dirt. I wanted to go over some of the soil mixes that I have used and that have worked for me. As you guys know, I mix my own soil. If you were to look at, except for the coke is not part of the soil, but ooh, coke. Anyways, yeah, if you go to wherever, Walmart, Home Depot, or whatever, if you take a look at the quality bags of soil out there, they're not exactly cheap. And there's a reason that some of them are $2 or maybe $1.50, and other ones, like brand name ones, Miracle Grow, that they want like $14 or more for a bag, and that can get expensive. And over time, I've realized the only difference between the really expensive stuff and the cheap stuff are the additives that they put in there. So if you just buy your own, start off with a cheap bag of soil, $2-3, and just get the stuff that you need to make it into the $15 bag of soil, you save a lot of money. And there's something to be said about doing the stuff yourself. It's silly, but you feel a little bit accomplished that you are doing it. So anyways, these are the mixes that I routinely use, and I just wanted to go over them with you again. The first one is the Seedling mix that I use. And as you can see there from the ratio, it's just simply 1 part vermiculite and 1 part peat moss. That's all you need. There is an environmental concern around peat moss. Up to you if you want to use it or not. You can substitute Coco Coir, which is basically coconut hair. You know, the fuzzy stuff on the coconut? That stuff that is used. At this point in time, even though it's supposed to be more sustainable and less impactful on the environment, it's pretty darn expensive. So I still use the peat moss. Take that for whatever you want, and it's up to you if you can use it. But if you want to use it, the Coco Coir, and the peat moss act the same. They retain moisture, and but they also allow oxygen and air to flow through the mix, which is really good. So equal parts peat moss and vermiculite, and you mix that together. Add just a little bit of water to make it stick together but not runny, and you are good to go with the Seedling mix. And this is stuff that I use when I start planting my seeds and starting them indoors to go under the grow lights in the grow stand. The last time I explained about the Seedling mix, actually I think that was my very first video. I also explained that there's a chance, if you are doing the seedlings, like if you're starting seeds indoors, there's a chance of you getting fungus and gnats. These are these little itty bitty flies. They look like fruit flies, but they're not. Their eggs actually come in almost, I think, every kind of bag of soil, peat moss, or gardening stuff out there. Their eggs are very hard to destroy. And for a lot of people, that can get really annoying really quick. So what I do with my Seedling mix is I sterilize it. So once I have everything mixed together, I pour boiling hot water on it. So obviously I'm not going to do the mix in a plastic tray. Last time I was showing you, I don't know if I have any here, but I was using a roasting pan, and that's perfect for it. Anyways, you pour boiling water on it, cover it, and let it sit for 8 hours to 24 hours. The heat from the boiling water and the steam will actually kill any fungus gnat eggs that are in there. Any kind of microbes and whatever else usually get killed off as well. Now you're thinking that's not beneficial for the seeds, but seeds don't actually need all the stuff that are in regular potting mix in order to grow. Everything that the seed needs to grow and sprout are in the seeds itself. So a sterile mix to begin with is absolutely great for the seedlings. They're only going to be in there a few weeks, and then you're going to pot up into a regular potting mix. When I start planting the seeds this year for 2024, I'll go over this mix again and what I do to sterilize it. But trust me, it's a lot better than not sterilizing, and you get these annoying fruit flies fungus gnats all over your house, thinking that they're fruit flies, but they're not. So that's the seedling mix. Oh, one other note about the seedling mix: don't use it to pot up or grow stuff in. There was a video last year that I showed you the difference between growing my lettuce seeds in the seedling mix compared to just the regular mix that I was using prior to that. If you're growing something right in the tray, like if I were to grow lettuce right in here, I need a mix that the seeds can sprout from and also get some of their nourishment from. So in that example that I showed in the video, the lettuce did grow, and it was growing, but it was noticeably yellow compared to other lettuce I was growing in a regular mix. So seedling mix, only for sprouting the seeds, and then you pot up into regular mix. Keep that in mind. The second mix I use, I call it the lettuce mix, but basically it's the same potting mix that I would use for when I up-pot from the seedlings into, once the seedlings get to a certain height, they have their first set of true leaves, then they're potting, they need to get into something, a pot that's a little bit bigger than the seedling trays. This is the mix that I use. The ratio is 4 to 1 to 1 to 1. So the lettuce mix is made up of potting soil, worm casting, which I don't have because I haven't been out to the worm farm this year, but I will be. Where is it? I lost myself. So, potting soil, worm casting, vermiculite, and water. You can add some peat moss in there if you want. It's up to you. And when I say potting soil, if you want to use like a cheap bag of potting soil from the dollar store, that's what that is, which can be really handy. There's no judgment here. You can absolutely use it. Just improve on it, because the cheap stuff is not going to have a lot of the cheap bags that you're getting, or it's either almost all like garden soil, as they would call it, and there's no nourishments or extra minerals or anything in that. So you can use the potting soil, but add the extra stuff like the worm casting, the vermiculite, and a little bit of peat moss if you want. That's completely optional. But the majority of that is going to be the potting soil. You can, if you have extra seedling mix left over, work it in or substitute it for the potting soil, because you're adding the vermiculite, the worm casting, and the other stuff, so you're bringing nourishment back into that mix that was boiled out and killed off when you sterilized it. So that's another option. But like I said, this is stuff that I use when I'm growing the lettuce in the trays indoors, and same stuff that I use when I'm potting up for the seedlings that are growing. The third mix is the new one that I just did this year. This is what I'm calling the tropical mix. It's basically the same mix that you would get in a bag for orchid soil. There's a lot of stuff in here, and as you can see from there, the ratio is 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. I didn't write all the ones because there's a lot of stuff. In here, you have peat moss, vermiculite, potting soil, tree bark, pumice stones, and clay balls. The idea is you want the soil to be really airy and not compacting, and there'll be air pockets in the soil. The tropical plants like bromeliad, or the flamingo plant that I was showing before, they like a lot of oxygen circulation through the roots. They will not like their roots sitting in water, because that's where you'll get root rot and the plant won't like it. So when you're using this mix, when you're putting it in your pot and you have your plant in there, when you're watering unlike other plants that you have using other soil, the water will run right through. So make sure that you have a dish underneath or a tray to catch the water. But the water should be running through. Whatever moisture is retained by the little bit of potting soil or the peat moss, because the peat moss will suck up some water, it's enough for the plant. And like I said, it's a very coarse, lumpy mix. The tree bark, I got mine on Amazon. You can get it at the big box stores at Home Depot, but because it's quote-unquote exotic, they charge a premium for it. It's cheaper on Amazon, so search around on there for it. So far, it's been really good. I did a short video. I posted a YouTube short showing you what the plants look like potted up and separated, because it was the croton and the flamingo plant that I separated into mini pots, and I have them in the powder room and the guest bedrooms downstairs. And they're doing really well so far. I also wanted to try this mix with the pothos, because I am going to do another pothos video, and I want to try a different technique of growing the pothos to see if the growth is more vigorous and if I can get the leaves to be bigger. And this is the type of soil that they're recommending, so we'll give it a shot. We'll see what it does. One note, if you're using the Coco Coir instead of the peat moss in your seedling mix, be careful where you get the Coco Coir from. I've heard some bad reviews from some places on Amazon. People are saying that when they rehydrate, because it's sold in bricks, and then you rehydrate it with water, and people were saying, from some vendors, that when they rehydrated the Coco Coir, it had like a bad smell when they were going through it. When it was rehydrated, they found bits of plastic in there. So like with anything on Amazon, it really depends on your vendor. I will look for the one that the vendor that I got mine from, and I'll post it in the description. I'll put it in the description below. The one that I used was absolutely fine. The other thing that a couple other people mentioned, because I was reading reviews, they said that the Coco Coir was salty. I don't know how they know it's salty without tasting it. I have no idea. But they said it was salty, so I don't know if it was cleaned or prepped with salt water, which is not good necessarily for plants, unless you're doing some exotic plant. So once again, something to keep in mind if you are going to use a substitute for peat moss in your seedling mix, or any of your mixes that has peat moss in it. You can substitute out for the Coco Coir. Just make sure that it's good stuff that you are using. As you can see, got my package of stuff from Vessies. So some of the stuff that I am going to be growing. Couldn't resist. I was at Walmart, picked up some random seeds. This video should have come out after I did a tour of what I'm working with in the garden outside. It's dark outside, you can't see anything. And one of the things I mentioned was the existing garden doesn't have a lot of flowering plants. So I need to attract bees and pollinators to the vegetable garden. So I'll be planting some more coneflowers, Shasta daisies. I'm not doing as big and like a 90-foot long flower bed like we did in Richmond Hill. That would be nice, but this is a lot more. It's over almost 200 feet of frontage I have. It's crazy, so I can't do that. But I'll be planting more flowering stuff around. And some of this stuff are annuals. The coneflowers obviously are perennials. These are what, Nostrum or something like, I never can get that name. These are beneficial for some of the plants that I'm planting in the vegetable garden. So we'll go over that at another time. That's basically it for the dirt video, playing in the dirt. I hope the recipes were helpful. I will post what the ratios are and the ingredients are for each one of these mixes in the description, so make sure to look at that. And that is all for this evening. I have to go back to working on the raised beds. I've been cutting the wood for the raised beds. But that's for another channel and another video. Anyways, talk to you guys later.